I'm a millennial, and I'm embarrassed to be one. Now, being a millennial in the 21st century isn't all bad, but it mostly is. Don't get me wrong, I like living in a day and age where being openly gay or being openly bisexual, being openly transgender, and being openly lesbian is perfectly fine, and nobody bats an eye, and no one is sent to an insane asylum because of their sexuality. Okay? That's what I like about society today. I also like the fact that racism is not as bad as it used to be. I like that. There are things I like about today's society, but there are a lot of things about my generation that make me embarrassed to be a millennial. Okay? And I could already see the comments coming from other millennials. You're privileged, you're this, you're that. That's the first thing. I'm embarrassed to be a millennial because buzzwords are seen as arguments instead of actual arguments. You know, at one time, if you wanted to debate someone, you actually had to have an argument. You actually had to have had something to contribute to a debate. Now it's, I don't like what you said. You're sexist. You're racist. You're homophobic. You're ableist. You're cyclist. You're careless. You're Bushist. You know, name any buzzword, add any buzzword. That's a millennial argument. You know, there's no substance to arguments anymore. And argumentation between two millennials is hearing two babies trying to argue over which one didn't get to play with a toy in the sandbox. You know, I can have more interesting arguments with my parents and with my family and with people who are much older than me, like 40, 50 years older than me, because we understand how arguments work. We understand that you need a rebuttal, you need an argument, you need an introduction, you need a conclusion to a debate. That all goes in with a typical argument. It's not, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. I don't like what you said. Block, block, block. That's not an argument. That's a tantrum. There's a difference. I'm also embarrassed to be a millennial because our entertainment, our music, our movies is memes and anecdotes and anagrams and all that. And our music is shit. Okay? Our music is shit. You know, what really bugs me about today's entertainment is that there's no story anymore. There's no character development anymore. There's no romance in the story anymore. There's no nothing in the story anymore. You know why? Because the masses have told movie studios, we like memes, we like geefs. And that's what Hollywood's giving us. Jump scare films instead of actual horror films, instead of actual thriller films that actually make you quiver with fear. Jump scare films, you know what's coming. There's no reason to be afraid of them because you know what's coming. Comedy films are nothing but meme jokes. Instead of an actual joke, it's a meme. So you're guaranteed to get the joke right away because it's a fucking meme. The whole film in itself is a fucking meme. Romances. Are they even romance? You know, romance films like When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, You've Got Mail, Little Shop Around the Corner, Gone with the Wind, Annie Hall, Purple Rose of Cairo. Films like that actually had romance in them. They actually had character development between two people, and you see the two people come together to be each other's yin and yang. Coming together to be the person's other half. There's no romance in romance films anymore. It's nothing but teeny bopper dream shit. Okay? That doesn't make a good romantic comedy. That just makes a good dream journal. Did I mention the music sucks? I don't even need to go into further explanation, but it just sucks. I'm also embarrassed to be a millennial because people don't know how to read anymore. This doesn't go for all millennials. This goes for most millennials. I have a lot of books. I don't have my bookshelf up, but I have a lot of books. I have books on my coffee table. I have tons of books on Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, Bob Hope, John Lennon, the Beatles, the Roosevelts, the Bee Gees, the Picture Book of Manhattan, Marilyn Monroe, science books, encyclopedias, you name it. I have books. I like to read. I like to pick up a book and read every now and then. I have to be in the mood to pick up a book. I have to be in the mood to read, but I do read. I actually like to pick up a book and read words instead of being on Facebook all the time. But reading in the millennial day and age is reading your friend's Facebook status. That is called reading now. Nobody picks up a book anymore. I'm like the only young person, young millennial, that goes to the library and rents CDs and rents DVDs and rents books. I currently have rented out Ken Burns' jazz documentary. I love Ken Burns documentaries. I can watch them, watch Ken Burns tell history, and yet learn at the same time. I love listening to jazz music. I love listening to good music. But speaking of learning, why bother? Picking up a book is hard enough for a millennial, but actually learning something, just going to YouTube and learning something, Jesus fucking Christ, that's too much to ask. Most millennials watch videos on YouTube that deal with ass shaking and booty bumping, anything that deals with asses. You know, that's what millennials are into. I'm not. I'm into political videos on YouTube. I like to listen to the political side of YouTube. I like to be informed of what's going on. I like to hear different opinions, even though if I don't agree with them. I like to learn what's going on. If I go to YouTube, you know what? I'm not going to go for a booty shaking video. I'm going to go to YouTube to watch a political video, to watch a video on philosophy. That's what I'm going to do. It bothers me that most people in my generation don't watch documentaries. They don't watch a short documentary that's 7 minutes long on YouTube. It's too much information. Reminds them too much of school. Look, if you don't like documentaries, if you don't like books, how the hell do you learn? How do you learn? Do you get it through anagrams, through your text messaging? Yeah, I'm also embarrassed to be a millennial because people are too much involved with their technology. Too much of this instead of too much face-to-face conversation as I'm doing with you, the viewer, right now. You know, I'm corresponding with someone through stationary work, meaning pen and paper, a pen pal, basically. I know, a dinosaur way of communicating, but I do it. You know why? Because ever since I stopped using my phone, because I procrastinate to charge it, I realized that I don't need to be on my laptop as much. So am I on it now? Yes. But do I need to be on it 24/7? No. Am I on it 24/7? No. You know what I'm doing half the time? If I'm not on my laptop. I might be reading. I might be going to the library. I might be having a conversation with a family member or a friend one-on-one. I actually get off the internet every now and then. But a lot of millennials, they seem to be glued to the internet, because if they're not in the 411 of what Facebook drama is going on, or what YouTube drama is going on, or what Twitter drama is going on, they feel like they missed 10 years of their life. You'll miss 10 years of your life if you're on social media 24/7. I'm embarrassed to be a millennial because everything has to be current pop culture, or else it's not interesting. Really? You're really gonna go with this? That makes no sense. You know, current pop culture is okay, but history repeats itself. You have to talk about history every now and then. You have to bring up something that happened in the past to realize that, oh, we gotta bring this up. We can't talk about Katy Perry's latest hit, Fly By Night song, by the way. And we gotta talk about what's going on. You know, a lot of millennials are too cooped up with current pop culture to realize political correctness is the new McCarthyism. Yet another thing millennials, mostly a lot of them, don't know about because they don't want to learn history. McCarthyism, when Joseph McCarthy blacklisted liberals in Hollywood because of the Red Scare, or bruised liberals in Hollywood because of the Red Scare, this was a U.S. senator that had the power to ruin someone's career. And with political correctness now, with colleges having safe spaces, this is exactly McCarthyism all over again. And once again, millennials don't want to know about this. I could go on forever why I'm embarrassed to be a millennial. I can. But I want to make this final point. I'm embarrassed to be a millennial because this generation worries all about labels. Nothing but labels. Labels, labels, labels galore. Millennial this, liberal that, conservative that. Labels galore. Hey, labels are labels. They mean nothing. Ketchup says ketchup. But sometimes ketchup doesn't taste like ketchup. Sometimes ketchup tastes like vinegar. Sometimes the ketchup gone bad. You gotta throw it out. Why am I bringing this up? Because labels mean nothing. Labels are labels. Labels are nonsense. Labels are horse crap. Look, if you identify with something, if you identify with being bisexual like I do, great. That's a part of who you are. But that's not all you are. There's more to you than one thing. I'm bisexual. I'm a musician. I like to listen to music. All these things make up who I am. But I just don't say, oh, I'm only bisexual, nothing else. No, there's more to me than my sexuality. Oh, can I just embarrassed to be a millennial? I'm embarrassed to be a millennial because it seems to me that nowadays sexuality is all that's important. Because nothing political that happens in the world is important. Nothing that happens in your personal life is important. Nothing down the street that happened is important. Nothing with the stock market is important. Apparently, only sexuality is. In the end of it, I guess it's subjective, but I think my generation is going to go down as the worst generation. We're going to be the generation lazy ass. We're not going to be the generation that's going to be productive. The greatest generation is labeled the greatest generation for a reason. They had a horrible economy like we do now, worked hard for their keep. And not only worked hard for their keep, but they fought the Nazis. Millennial men now, ooh, guns. That's a millennial man. Afraid to hold a weapon. I don't like weapons myself, but you know what? I know how to use a knife if I need to use one. That's the thing. We're the weak generation. Out of all the generations, we're the weak ones. We're the generation that doesn't want to even procreate. We're the generation that doesn't want to have children. You want to end humanity by not having children? I don't. Anyway, that's enough time for me. See you next time.